Hello, everybody, and welcome to Checkpoint Midnight, Spies in the City of Dreams. This is session 3 of 4, though it's also a bit of a new jumping on point session, because we've got a great new player coming to join us, building the new character that we'll get to meet, and we have a returning player, someone who was in the first session, wasn't able to make session 2, so we'll be checking in and finding out what his character has been up to. But first, a few words of introduction. We're playing this game as part of the Gauntlet community. You can find out all about the Gauntlet at gauntlet-rpg.com, and make sure to follow the Gauntlet on Twitter at GauntletRPG to find out when we might next hold a open gaming weekend like we just had to good success, I feel. The game we are playing today is Checkpoint Midnight. Checkpoint Midnight is a game about supernatural spies in Cold War Vienna. If that sounds cool to you, you can learn more about the game at bit.ly/checkpointmidnightlist. That's a capital C, a capital M, a capital L, and I'll put that link below this video for reference. Checkpoint Midnight is a game I'm designing under my game design brand Cloven Pine Games. So let's start to introduce our party of players, and I'll start us off. If you want, introduce yourself with your name, your pronouns if you wish, and your online handle if you so desire, or anything else you'd love to plug. And we'll do a round where we just introduce players before we go back around and meet the characters. So I am Alexi, he, him. I'll be the MC for this game today. And you can follow all my gaming endeavors online at Cloven Pine Games. So make sure to check out Cloven Pine Games on Twitter or Cloven Pine Games on itch.io, where I've got a number of short games available for free or for a very modest price of 50 cents each for some of my games that are currently on sale. Let's go ahead and start off with Puckett. Tell us about yourself.
Hi there, I am Puckett. I am using he, him pronouns. I am quite happy to be here. Did you want us to hold off on character introductions and just go through players right now?
Yeah, we'll do characters next. Josh, you're up.
Yeah, I'm Josh. I also use he, him pronouns. Looking forward to the session.
Great. Good to have you both back. And finally, Richard. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Richard, he, him pronouns. Glad to be here. It was a pleasant surprise for my Monday. And yeah, looking forward to playing.
Thank you so much for jumping in and working with such assiduousness to build this new character. I'm excited to meet him. So let's first meet the characters. Re-meet the characters we've already got on the table. So Puckett, tell us about Jack Hardesty.
I am playing Jack Hardesty, who uses the Unburied playbook. The way the character was initially pitched to me was something along the playbook was pitched to me was something along the lines of Frankenstein Captain America. And if that doesn't speak to you, what broke within your soul? So Jack was in the 101st Airborne and was brought back and assembled from various other pieces and parts, and is trying to find the people who did this to him so that he can ensure permanently that they never do this to anyone else. And then after that, try to figure out if there's actually a way that he can die. So, cheery times in Vienna.
And he has a close personal relationship with Death herself, who we've seen on screen.
She's my boo.
But sadly, the two of you cannot be reunited until you figure out something more about what has kept you kept you from resting in peace.
Yep. Also, wonderful. Jack has a weird ghost dog named Ushi now, so that's good.
One metal leg.
Yes, robot leg. So that's also fun.
Yeah, I mean, robot might be overstating it slightly. It sounds like it's a very thrown together bit of engineering.
Yeah, janky prosthetic, more or less. But if I say it's robot, then I can at least maybe feel a little bit better about it.
Very good. All right, thank you so much, Josh. Tell us about your character, Viola Conroy.
Yeah, of course. So I am playing Viola Conroy, who is an American young adult who is currently living abroad on someone's dime, but that dime is certainly reduced because she mostly, squats in unused apartments and runs away before the check comes at the cafe, and some such. She is a favored. She's favored by some sort of unknown, deeply ancient creature or presence that she knows to exist within old, somewhat inhuman crypts and tombs buried deep in these old European cities. But she is unsure of and happy that she is unsure of the exact nature of that contract and the exact nature of what she is dealing with.
But the fact that she's favored means things just seem to work out for her so often, huh?
Yeah, she has unnatural luck, which does come technically at the expense of others, but not visibly. So she tries not to think about it. I don't actually know if she knows that is the case, even. So.
Oh, fascinating. Oh, and I should pop up this character keeper so folks can, if they're watching a video, see the characters we're describing here. Cool. Yeah. So Viola favored by something, and blessed with this luck that she may or may not know has consequences for other people. And when we last saw her, she was escaping from a gala, having snagged the prize of a mysterious black wrapped cigar. And what has she been doing in the meantime?
Yeah. So in the meantime, she has decided to avoid Vienna until her face becomes a little bit less of a priority for this very high-profile crime that she has just committed, or this very high, this very revenge-worthy crime. It's probably not very high-profile at all.
It's highly sensitive in its own way.
Yeah, a highly sensitive crime is a good way to put it. So she has fled the city for the weekend, taken a few days to herself, enjoyed the countryside, tried out some fine vintages, and now she is back in Vienna, ready to return the cigar to Norbert Jakowiak, who she stole it for in the first place, and hopefully continue on her merry way and her merry little crusade through Europe.
We'll see how that works out for her. Great. Anything else we should know about Viola?
That is most of it. She has an interesting look in her eyes. If you look very closely, maybe if you have like a photograph of her staring at a camera and you were to look very, very closely into her eyes, you would notice a certain quality that does not seem entirely human. And that is a fact of her which exists.
Yes, it is. Very good. Thank you so much, Josh. Good to meet Viola. All right. And now introducing a new character for this session. Richard, tell us about the character you've been working on.
All right. Yeah, I'm just I'm going to be filling in a few details around the edges as we go. But I am playing Anders Ellis, who is an adept, a collector. And his backstory is kind of multi-phased, but he is a disgraced academic who turned to becoming a con man within very specific kind of circles. So he he has been making his money through kind of a holdover from the era of patronage, and he's supposed to be kind of traveling around, tracking down manuscripts. He's seen it by and large as a con until pretty recently, when he started to encounter kind of the genuine article. He had, and most of his work has been in surrounding this famous real world document, the Voynich manuscript. But he's actually trying to track down a mythical book, which is a codex that acts as a Rosetta Stone for the as yet untranslated Voynich manuscript. And he's been milking a patron here in Vienna for years and years, in the thought that he might that this thing exists. Only now Anders has figured out, yes, it does in fact exist, and he has compelling reason to believe that it's up to him to find it for his own reasons, and he'd like to keep the funding going from his patron, but at the same time he has no intention of handing it over, especially now that he's as close as he is. He thinks he's caught the trail.
Oh, that's fascinating. So you've been relying on financial support from this Viennese patron, but you don't want to give them the genuine article. You want
Right.
to hold on to the Voynich Codex for yourself. Is that just the kind of academic curiosity coming back, or do you have something you want to do with the knowledge contained in the manuscript?
No, well, it's a lot of it is that I have only, recently discovered that this is actual power. I was completely operating on the presumption that this manuscript probably didn't exist, and if it did, it wouldn't really lead anywhere. Only to discover that no, there's actual magical power. I have managed to. Some of the stuff that I carry around with me are like botanical solutions and that kind of stuff that that comes from bits and pieces that people have been able to figure out, and I've been able to piece together because I briefly had access to the codex for just long enough to put together a little bit.
How did you lose it?
Well, it was in the middle of the war. I had access to it. It was the last place I saw it was in Dresden, and I was literally interrupted by the American bombing.
Got it. So
Or the Allied bombing.
I'm getting the sense that what it is that this codex manuscript has just changed hands like constantly in the sort of underworld of black market arcana dealing, and so you've kind of chased another lead to find that it's in Vienna, which is inconvenient for you since that patron is also in Vienna, and you very much want to get the manuscript but not give it to the patron.
Right.
What's the name of the patron you've been milking for years and years?
If there's someone appropriate in the NPCs, I could go with that, but otherwise I can produce somebody.
Let's remind ourselves about our NPCs. Well, so Norbert Jakowiak has not yet actually appeared on screen, but he is the one that hired the other operatives at the beginning to get the cigar. So, we've established he is he's a scholarly figure who might be interested. Victor von Starenberg, a puffed-up bureaucrat working in the governor's office. He would have some financial resources if there was some reason that he was so interested in paying to get this codex. And he's someone that Viola has been working a con on, and they're kind of circling each other because he's figured out she's up to something, but not what exactly yet. Anyone else that makes a lot of sense for this role?
I think Jakowiak looks promising.
Yeah, that kind of all roads lead to Jakowiak then, with the cigar coming back to the city, and Anders having having promised the manuscript to Jacobiak without intending to deliver. Cool. Let's go ahead and how is that that's the answer to your contact question?
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and fill that in.
So then you have leverage over him because he's relying on you to get this for him. Does that
Okay.
track? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. All right. We'll see how that all shakes out. Let's, if it's all right by you. Oh, let me real quick look at the moves you've picked. Make sure we like those. So you've got the collector special move. You've accrued a useful selection of trophies from creatures of myth. It sounds like you're thinking kind of less along the lines of bits of magical animals and more along the lines of bits of kind of magical herbs, magical plants.
Yeah, and I think that as far as like the miss goes, I think it's that there's a lot. There are a lot of competitors for this thing that I'm looking for, and anytime I deploy these, I run the risk of signaling that I have some knowledge that would be recognized by a fellow traveler or rival. As leading to this. I'm trying to keep this stuff very on the down low because the top people who are also looking for the codex are probably filtering into town. I might have a little bit of a head start on them, but I can't be sure.
Yeah, that sounds plausible to me. All right. You've got the move Gotta Stop Meeting Like This. When you first encounter an NPC, rather than establish your bona fides, which is a basic move, you may declare them an old friend and roll plus operator. And so, on a hit, they know you, they might help you. On 7 through 9, they have leverage over you. On a miss, tell the MC why they want you dead. So this is great. You can roll it and turn someone into an old friend, either the type of old friend who helps you or the type of old friend who wants to kill you. It sounds like Anders would have accrued a number of those just by the circles he moves in.
Well, and I had so much fun with this move when I was playing Otto in the Urban Shadows.
This move is can be directly credited to a move from the veteran playbook in Urban Shadows. You've also got Sign in Blood, where you can make a particularly binding deal, such that you and whoever you've shaken with will kind of like take a bunch of conditions if they renege. So it sounds like you want to do some wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I think what might really kind of complicate things is that the Jacobiak, we haven't made such a deal, but he knows that I'm capable of making such a deal. And so he's trying to pin me down to formally promise to hand over the manuscript.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah. Thank you. That there's some good drama built in there. Cool. Then I might next turn to relationships and leverage as we work that part out. Sound good?
Yeah.
So let's see, because you feel we've covered the backstory sufficiently here.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
And then as far as the relationships go, I think just it was basically one and the other of the characters that are here. So I think Jack is kind of the insider on my character. We have some kind of existing relationship where we've interacted, and I think that my connection. Oh, you know what? Actually, it might make more sense. I am going to flip those actually, because I think that the whole thing is Viola is also a con artist, and we have intersected in the past.
Were you working the same mark and then game recognized game?
Yeah, that can work. That can work. So
Josh, does that work
we
for
can.
you?
Yeah, totally.
It's like the only person that I will actually admit that I'm pulling any kind of shenanigans. Like I'm always fully bought into the con the rest of the time.
I see. So she's a confidant that you can
Right.
let know about your confidence games, since you've realized she's working her own. Yeah, Puckett asked the question: Did you join forces or work at cross purposes when you first encountered each other?
I think it's a fluid honor system among people like us, and so it's kind of broken both ways, but it's never taken personally.
So at worst, a friendly rivalry.
Yeah.
Who's on top is on top. I think it's a very, if you are winning, we recognize that you deserve to be winning right now. And maybe tomorrow I'll be winning, and I'll deserve it then.
Oh, that's great. That makes sense to me. And then your other relationship, Anders.
Well, Puckett, Jack, what would you likely need from someone with my set of skills?
Oh, you're digging around with the occult, right?
Yeah, like herbal. Yeah, like occult
And you
herbalism.
mentioned you mentioned like trying to find manuscripts and things like that.
One particularly, but yeah.
I think we've probably interacted because I've probably tried to reach out to you to find out if your sources know anything about how to kill a revenant.
Yeah, I
mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that Jack Hardesty is suicidal. It's that he was already dead and they didn't let him stay that way. He just wants to return to the natural order. Where dead is dead, not lumbering around Vienna with a messed up prosthetic leg.
Do you think Anders has kind of encountered documents that touch on what
yeah, I think it might even
starting points or
right. It might even shade into that kind of role where, like, I have applied experimental medicine to you periodically to try to help you figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the like in iZombie or something like that, where you've got the person who kind of
you're the Ravi, right, from
Ravi,
our friend working in the morgue, helping investigate zombie stuff.
Richard, how would you feel about a little bit of really, really dark, grim, bleak humor?
I'm fine with that. That's kind of my wheelhouse. So yeah.
Okay. So I'm thinking that what happened is, you're talking about these experimental medicines, and there's like times you've applied one and it looks like it's worked for like a day, maybe 2 days. And then all of a sudden, like, I just sit bolt upright gasping, like, and yell like an obscenity, like, when is this going to work?
Yeah.
So the regular assistance is seeing if you can undo his undead state, and sometimes it looks like it sticks and then does not.
Yeah. I'll be like more dead than normal for like a day or two, and then kind of revive.
Okay, so I'm kind of picturing something a little like American Werewolf in London kind of vibe.
Okay.
With the dead friend showing up progressively worse, and that kind of tone.
Yeah, like, but you've got like maybe a little bit of a lab where like you can test things like, I'm on a slab or whatever, and then
So you
And it's
you
just-
spend
yeah.
sometimes seeing if you'll stay dead on a slab in Anders's Viennese kind of
And it's like
basic operations.
we obviously don't have a lot of the machinery and the technology that would, but I mean, it's like it's kind of hard to tell because I already don't have a pulse and I already don't have a heartbeat, and you can't really measure brain functions at that point. But it's well, I'm also not breathing, so like all the indicators people would normally use to figure out if somebody's dead are non-applicable. But
The main one is just, are you moving around or not?
yeah, exactly. And it's like, and Jack will go limp, I'll go limp. And it's like, for all intents and purposes, it looks like I am finally truly dead until like, a day or two goes by and suddenly there's a gasp of breath, like,
Yeah.
Part of what I like about this is that we've established that Jack doesn't sleep. So it seems like the closest to sleeping he gets is when Anders, tries one of these remedies, and he's maybe like dead or closer to fully dead for a day before he's dragged back to the land of the living.
and now I'm suddenly thinking about the Indigo Girls closer to fine, except it's closer to dead.
If this works for you too, this is kind of a wild dynamic, but one I'm happy to see see play out here.
Okay. Yeah. And
you're-
I'm stressing. I just want to stress once again: it's not that Jack is suicidal. He was already dead. He just wants to return to the natural order.
right.
And I want to, because I mean, I want to make sure we're not like treading on any lines or anything like that.
Yeah. Well,
No, we're
and
good.
we established that Jack doesn't remember anything but snatches from his life before that first death. So his kind of whole undeath has been this strange existence that's felt like an aberration. One other thing on this topic, your leverage question, Anders. What does that say, and who are you going to give leverage to?
It says. So let me take a look. So, despite your you keep things professional, but there are favors you owe. Give leverage to half the other PCs rounded down. So I gave that to Viola.
Is that just leverage because she knows more about what you're up to?
Yeah, I think so. She has the power to make my life a lot more difficult. And in fact, I'd say that like on a very low level, that's probably something that we do to each other when it seems like the other person is like accomplishing something at a walk in front of us, we'll trip them up a little bit, knowing that they'll be able to overcome it.
That work for you, Josh?
Yeah, definitely. Sounds great.
This is fun. This is fun. This kind of sort of honor among thieves that results in just kind of helping handicap someone because you're sure they'll be able to deal with it. Actually, looking at other leverage questions, Viola, yours says, despite your facade, you care a lot about how people think of you. Give leverage to all but one of the other PCs. Previously, that meant Ophidar didn't get leverage, but it so in that case, we should probably give a leverage to Anders, right?
Yeah, sounds like.
Actually, I was the one without leverage on Viola.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I forgot how that had been chosen, but at least but that means that.
But I still
introducing-
think that should actually remain true because you would have had more dealings with Anders. So it still fits, actually.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, cool. It makes sense that these characters would have kind of bounced off each other in different contexts without necessarily all being kind of gathered together, for a mission. Because what mission would require the particular skills of a collector of manuscripts and arcane herbs and a lucky con woman and a undead soldier. I guess we'll find out. Cool. Any other business to take care of here? Because I'm inclined to call for a bio break round about now, and then I'll have a chance to think a little bit about some of the information we've put onto the table and pick up and start playing after that. Sound good? All right.
Fine by me.
Sure thing. Yeah.
How about a 15-minute bio break just to make sure I have the chance to brainstorm a little, and then we hit the ground running.
Fine by me.
Great.
So come back at 25 after.
And by the way, Richard,
Yeah.
I have a family tree of characters that are not in post-apocalyptic settings like Dream Askew or Apocalypse World.
Oh yeah.
That goes back literally 10 generations and it includes characters from Worldwide Wrestling. It includes characters from various hacks like Knights Black Operators. It includes characters from Uncanny Echoes, from Monster Hearts, and so on. So, yeah, Ruby's dad traveled a lot. Okay.
Yeah, I think that works.
So yeah, I'm just laughing about that because I do similar things. Like, about the only thing that I don't do that with is, like, for example, characters in Root, characters in
Oh yeah.
Mothership or Alien or a game like that, characters in Apocalypse World, since it's difficult. Well,
Yeah.
actually, it feels like we're about halfway to Dream Askew right now. So Apocalypse World is probably like what, 2021 at this point. So, but yeah.
So it's funny because I've been working with a writing partner for 25 years, and we mainly write plays, and all our plays we discover that they have overlapping characters in history. So it's very much like I'm generally inclined to make those kinds of connections.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, if you're all dealing with weirdness from the same family tree, no matter how many disparate branches are involved, it's a little bit more fun. You just got to make sure like it goes far enough back that the branches don't intersect. They all branch outward, and it's like, okay, they may all be related, but it's not like it's not like 17th cousins or whatever got married or whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
but it's a lot of fun. It's just hard to find software to handle that much.
Well, I'm going to go take a quick break. I'll talk to you soon.
Back in a few.
And Puckett, you were back, right? Excellent. All right. So we've met our characters. We've learned a little about the relationships here. Now I think we're ready to begin. And I'll begin with just a couple questions, establishing some of these things. So, Viola, what are your dreams usually like?
Vivid and bacchanalian.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and for these past days, while you've taken some time to yourself before making your way back to Vienna, your dreams have been as they've usually been. However, there's a recurring sequence that you don't recall ever dreaming before, where kind of in between the more regular revels of your dream and returning to the waking world, you for a moment think of yourself lying on what's kind of unmistakably a psychiatrist's couch in a tastefully furnished office, and an Austrian voice says from the armchair near you, fascinating. The fragile female psyche attempting to navigate massive oniric forces beyond mortal ken. What a case study this will be.
Yeah, so Viola finds herself in this chair. She looks around. Can she see anyone?
Yeah, you've you're an educated person. You would recognize what Sigmund Freud looks like. He appears to be seated, in an armchair, fingers templed together, watching you closely. He gives you like an encouraging smile as you look over towards him. And he says, "So tell me, what do you think these dreams mean?"
Viola looks at Sigmund Freud, and she goes, "I think that they mean that I think they're what I want."
A wish fulfillment, tamped down into the subconscious. Yes, but dangerous also. Hide enough wishes away here, and they start spilling out into the waking world.
Well, that's a problem for me when I am awake, not me when I dream.
And Freud chuckles at that. He says, I'm so glad you picked me up. That American's dreams, well, they were very, very elementary. Lots of mother issues, which very fun to untangle, but no variety to that. No additional drama.
No, I find that many people have very dull subconsciouses when you really look at them.
So you're just taking all of this in stride, pretty much.
Yeah, I think so. I think that Viola has a loose relationship with what is normal.
Is she at all trying to figure out what's going on, or are you just kind of content to like wake up again and shake off that and think, well, that was a strange interlude?
I think she would definitely take note of it, but I don't know if she would take action.
Fair enough. Well, you'll kind of as the dawn breaks, or what usually wakes you up in the morning? Do you set an alarm, or are you content to dream for as long as you can? it doesn't sound like you have a day job per se.
Yeah, no, I think she wakes up, when the light spills in to her apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And she, rubs her eyes and throws on her coat and goes off to meet Norbert. Norbert? Did I just make that name up, or is that his name?
Norbert Jakowiak is the man who hired you to steal this cigar. So you've put the cigar on your person somewhere to bring it to your meeting place.
Yeah, I think it is in a cigar case, in some pocket or another.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll say for the for the sake of kind of bringing things together that Norbert is meeting you at Checkpoint Midnight. That's the cafe where the supernatural tends to congregate in Vienna, though there's a sort of a front room that anyone can come into, right? So unclear how much Norbert knows about everything, but he seems knew enough to ask for you to meet him there. So you'll be headed in that direction, and we'll check in on you again soon. But Jack, you've taken an advancement since we last saw you. You picked out a new move from that. But the other thing that happens when you advance in this system is you get more entangled with the great powers of the world. So tell me about the entanglement you've chosen.
Entanglement as opposed to handler?
Well, the first entanglement is gaining a handler.
Okay. Yeah, well, I have a handler now. And chronologically, doesn't that actually happen after all this stuff? And we've rewound a day into the past?
It sounded like Viola kind of went to beat the heat for a little bit, and then has returned at whenever it is that we need her to be returning to the city. Is okay. So we'll kind of slightly handwave the timeline. I'll tell you my thought is, and we'll retcon or adjust this as needed when we have Sabine and can figure out a little more about what Ofidar did. But my thought is that Ofidar and Jack probably headed to Ofidar's contact who knew a thing or two about chemistry, in order to try to help you out with your having been poisoned and help Gordon out. And I'm kind of imagining that maybe you've left Gordon with that contact because he
recover.
He was in pretty bad shape. Yeah. So
he's alive. He can actually stop breathing.
Which would be you would feel mixed about, because there's still more information you need to get from him.
Oh, I wouldn't feel mixed about it. I would be very, very angry if Gordon died, and the people who caused him to die their miseries would be my mission in life, because I need Gordon until I get the details that I need from him, and then, well,
you told him you'd kill him last.
And the thing is, I've never been a jerk about it. It's not like I said, I'm going to torture you. It's like, no, it'll be quick. You're not going to suffer. You might not even see it coming. But yeah.
Yeah. So we'll say that the contact is Lilo Steger. We'll say that Lilo is watching over. Or he's been somewhat stabilized, but still needs some time to recover, and possibly Ofidar is
you're roboting a bit there for me. Lexi,
am I coming through now? Yeah. Am I coming through now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. A little interruption. I was saying that Gordon's probably recovering at Lilo Steger's,
sure.
And possibly Ofidar is picking up requisite materials from the Netherworld. We will we'll check in and confirm that when we have Ofidar back. But we'll say, Jack, you were able to be helped somewhat, right? And now we'll kind of move the timeline forward a bit and definitely get the sense of that handler in there. So what's the handle you've chosen, and the entanglement you've chosen as far as with the West or with the Soviets?
If you don't mind me positioning a little bit fictionally, I don't necessarily think I've chosen anything. I think I have been chosen.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, that's you. You Puckett have chosen something, but yeah, from Jack's perspective, it's a little less of a choice.
I think Jack, quite frankly, is just sitting at checkpoint midnight, having some absinthe or something like that. I mean, not that alcohol actually does anything to him, not that coffee does anything to him, not that he needs to eat, but maintaining some of these human rituals.
The spirit of the thing.
Yeah, it's maintaining these rituals is grounding to him. It's like, having some cake, having some coffee, having a drink.
Absolutely.
So I think that's where we find Jack, just kind of, actually probably not even drinking absinthe, probably just sitting there like stirring a lump of sugar into the coffee idly, staring into the middle distance, quite annoyed because Gordon is out of commission for a little bit, which that
slows you down.
It does. Yeah. I have a mission. I have a purpose. And Gordon being unwell slows down my timeline.
Yeah. So Checkpoint Midnight, as we've established, is a cafe. It's a place of sanctuary in a way, since there are strong rules against violence on the premises. Do you think that's why that's where you encounter Mark Miles again? That he's relying on the protections of the checkpoint to keep you from trying to throw him out a window? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and I've got my back to a wall because, well, of course you do. And I see him walk in and tense up because I've already told him to get out of Vienna and I would kill him the next time I saw him. Now I'm in a place where I can't do that.
He sits across from you.
This is strange. I thought I was the only dead man walking around Vienna.
He kind of chuckles a little bit at that, and says, "For a dead man walking the streets, you sure are hard to put in a grave. Listen, we got off on the wrong foot, clearly, but it's not going to work, is it? Me just sending people to kill you and you killing them. That's not sustainable. Everyone in the city is going to be dead if we keep this up."
I mean, you could shortcut the process by throwing yourself into the Danube. Or I could help you with that. We could step outside. Let me rephrase. Please step outside.
He sighs. He says, "I'm afraid I'm content to stay here as long as need be. They've got everything you could want as far as food and beverages. So, since I know you're not going to disrespect the rules of this place, how about a different arrangement? We could help each other. I know people who could use your set of skills, and I can make your life, or whatever it is you have, easier by not poisoning your informants or trying to blow you up."
If I thought you could kill me, that might carry some amount of weight. The way that a collaborator scum like you could make my life easier would be to dispatch yourself in a spectacularly messy and therefore heartwarming to me method.
Okay. We've heard this tune before, right? But we gotta move forward, Jack. And
Let me put it to you this way. I am not aware of any leverage you could bring to bear that would make me work with you. I died fighting the people that you supported. And now I'm back. Not real happy about it. So if your best offer is that you're going to not send people to poison sources, and that you're going to sit here in this coffee shop until either you run out of money or die of old age, I think we might be done here.
He puts an envelope on the table.
And this is,
and he like, kind of gives a like generous gesture, saying, by all means, right, open it.
I roll my eyes and open it. Yeah. What's in there?
So it's pictures of, what look like a number of different facilities, but there's things there that you kind of immediately they trigger some of the flashes of memory that you have of the lab where you were created, and you rifle through. There's photos of of these places, right? Men in white coats, corpses on tables, some corpses like in tubes that seem to be aflame, right? And the kind of branding occasionally visible on some of these places, says like the Prometheus Initiative, which is probably a name you got out of Gordon at one point, right? And Mark says, "Be assured, my partners are just as invested as you in making sure every last one of these sites is shut down for good. So if you can prove yourself cooperative, we might even be able to point you in the right direction."
I wave to a waiter, and a bottle of bourbon is placed in front of me.
Mm-hmm. This is just a signal you have already set up.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not that it's going to do anything. It's not that I can even taste it, but the old rituals still matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I grab the bottle and take a good long swig straight from the neck. I always told Gordon that I would kill him last. He may be second to last now.
Jack smiles and says, "See, this could be the start of a beautiful friendship." So we'll go ahead and mark that Jack is a handler for you, and kind of out of character, we decided that
is it Mark
for all sides? Yeah, Mark Miles. Yeah.
Okay.
We kind of decided that this scamp who's worked for all sides is currently working for the NKVD, and perhaps at some point you get like a stronger suspicion that those are the partners he's talking about, but he isn't gonna out and say it.
Am I gonna have to deal with a deputy Politruck?
We shall see. We'll see how well your rolls go. But yeah, we'll if it's all right by you, we'll say he's a handler and he has leverage thanks to that information that he's holding over you.
Totally fair.
All right, then let's check in with Anders. Anders, why can't you put off one more time meeting Jacoviak here at Checkpoint Midnight? Why do you feel you have to see him today?
I would say that he has. His expectation would have been that I would go he would be the first stop, and I've been seen by too many people. It's become somewhat known that I'm in town, and so to go any further would definitively mean that I was actively avoiding him.
Got it. So you're running out of plausible deniability here. Sound right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So since we're seeing Anders for the first time, tell us a little about what it looks like as Anders enters Checkpoint Midnight. Give us that opening shot. A little bit of physical description, and especially kind of how do you interact with this space that is kind of both a regular cafe and known in the back there is a greenhouse that is much more specifically tied to the supernatural. Yes, a greenhouse that was established last time, even before we had a mystical botanist in the mix.
Okay, well, I have as we kind of see Anders approaching Checkpoint Midnight, you see he kind of he looks at his hand. He stops at the corner, and he looks at his right hand, and then you see him think for a second, and then reach down with the other hand, and he actually dislocates one of his own fingers.
Okay.
And then wraps it in a bandage. Before, and then he kind of just winces and then composes himself for a minute and then enters Checkpoint Midnight.
Okay, great. So you've kind of given yourself this injury before entering the cafe at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the cafe, in kind of in the front section, not all the way back in the greenhouse that you kind of have to be in the know to access, but in the front section, kind of sitting in a booth is Norbert Jacoviak. He's a man who kind of wears an air of wealth and an air of scholarship on him. He's got some sort of cultural attaché role in the Soviet-controlled sector of the city, but he's originally from Poland, and yeah, he's someone you've kind of been promising that you would get this codex to, and so he kind of looks expectantly at you and indicates the seat across from him. What do you do?
Okay, I take my seat and I go to signal the waiter to come over, and I raise my right hand, and it's very conspicuous that I have the splint on it, and I kind of wince for a second, and then I wave with my other hand.
I see. Just showing off this injury. Is this meant as a sort of explanation of why you're late? Right. You're kind of trying to trick him with this into thinking.
Among other things. Yeah. It's just I'm does he comment on it or express any?
Yeah, he'll definitely narrow his eyes at this and say, Are you still a professor? Like you said you were a disgraced academic?
Yeah. Essentially, like I had been kind of running these running, low level cons from my professorial job, but like
Mm-hmm.
basically once I started like being associated with all this kind of flaky stuff, it undermined my reputation such that I was let's say I was told to take an indefinite sabbatical.
Got it. So yeah, so Norbert says Herr Professor Ellis, and it's hard to tell if there's any kind of degree of mockery in him giving you that title. But as Herr Professor Ellis, you've injured your hand somehow.
Yes, damned cab driver started driving away as I was closing the door, and it wrenched my finger.
Oh, indeed. Let me take a look at it. That seems hastily bandaged.
Oh, yeah, I had to improvise.
Are you letting him take a closer look, or trying to distract him?
I'm trying. I don't want to actually, like, I don't know how much he's gonna be able to tell about the nature of the injury if he gets too close a look at it, but I kind of downplay it as something like it's dealt with it, but yeah, I just can't hold anything with it. It's a damn nuisance.
Here's my question: Are you trying to distract him from it, or just putting up a front so that your cover here holds, right? Your cover of someone else injured me.
I just, like, if it wasn't obvious already, it's like it is impossible for me to shake hands.
That's your cover. All right, let's have you roll to keep your cover.
Okay.
Just to make this stick, right?
Yeah.
So when you put up a front to maintain your cover in the face of scrutiny, roll plus a relevant label. Tell me what label applies here, and the labels are weapon, dreamer, operator, fable. Operator, does like touch on some of this tricky stuff, though of course you literally kind of did injury to yourself to do this, so weapon would be justifiable also.
I think operator makes sense. Yeah, it's really I think that the idea is that, like, there's a certain sense in which Anders is just he's a very committed improviser in these kinds of situations. Like, it's just kind of his thing is, working out these solutions and being willing to do things that other people wouldn't.
Yeah.
So, this is kind of part of his craft, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. Make me a roll plus operator. If you've got three dice there, so that if you had advantage, you could use it.
Yeah.
I don't think you have advantage on this.
No, I don't think so.
Pull one of those dice away, so we don't. Okay.
Oh, it was the top two. It's always the top two unless I have advantage.
What's your operator stat?
2.
That makes it a 10+. Okay. Yeah. So.
Yep.
He looks at your and like accidentally like brushes it, right, and then and then you like kind of wince very genuinely because you indeed hurt your hand. He says, "My apologies. I shouldn't. Silly of me. I know I shouldn't have doubted you. I'm sorry about your travails." So he's buying it, and on a 10+, you also gain insight. You can ask me any one question. So what do you want to ask, Anders? You've made it to the cafe. You're meeting Jakoviak, and I'm sure waiting for him to make demands. But you get a chance to kind of gain a little insight right here, thanks to your big hit on that roll.
Yeah, I want to. I think that what I'm trying to assess is. I don't want to phrase it too vaguely because then I'm kind of overreaching. But I'm trying to assess how close he is to making concrete demands.
I see. Just like doing a little people reading, right? Like, what do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. How close is he to making concrete demands?
Yeah. How frustrated is he with this right now?
He is a little frustrated. He's clearly got something he's sitting on, right? Because he's from his posture, from his gaze, it's like he expects he's going to be able to to surprise you in some way, and in fact he keeps looking over towards the door. He keeps looking over towards the door like he's waiting for someone else to arrive, and you see that he's picked a seat where there's three seats all together. So he actually doesn't plan for this to be a meeting with just the two of you, and you pick this up before he acknowledges that in any explicit way.
All right. I'm trying to decide. I think because I'm trying to figure out the blocking essentially. I think that that Anders is just distracted enough that it would be possible to kind of block him in. It's like once it takes he kind of looks, see that there's three chairs, sees that if he hadn't been distracted by having just done what he did, he probably would have chosen a seat that it would be easier to get away from the table from.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But as it is, if someone comes and sits in that other chair, there's not an easy getaway for him.
Got it. You realize, oops, my I don't have an instant escape route here.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you're kind of putting that together as Norbert starts in saying, "Herr Professor, you know why I've been anxious to meet with you. You keep saying you have this codex nearly in your grasp, and yet I don't see it in front of me. What obstacles are slowing the progress? You know this is important to me."
Of course. I wouldn't dream of delaying this even a moment beyond what is absolutely necessary. But as you know, this manuscript has moved all over. I was shocked to find that it was to find it confirmed that it wasn't in fact destroyed when it slipped away from me in Dresden.
And all of that is true, right? Just out of character. That's the truth about the holdup.
Yeah, I mean the fact is, I give him I've yet to I'm playing a less. I'm trying not to confirm to him that I know that there's something more occult about this, that there's real power involved. That's the big secret that I'm keeping. It's kind of a double layered thing, because I'm looking for a magical book. I just don't want him to know that I know for sure that it's magical. He probably has me pegged as a con man, but one who's good at doing this stuff, So it's there's layers and layers to this.
There are, absolutely. Cool. Well, it sounds like there might be a little back and forth there, right? As you give him this whole account of of the difficulty. So we'll cut away for the moment and we'll check back in. But first, Viola, you're on your way to Checkpoint Midnight as well. Because we established Norbert's meeting you there. Kind of in the weather is nice. It's a unseasonably temperate day in Vienna, and as you're walking, the streets are a little crowded, and someone bumps into you, and starts profusely apologizing, and when you look up, you see another woman, and something about her eyes holds your interest. They have a little inhuman sparkle to them, not so different from yours. So this is in fact a move here. Establish your bona fides when you meet an important NPC for the first time. You or the MC can choose one from this list, and I'm going to go ahead and choose for this new character something unique about them holds your attention. Mark XP. So you get a little bonus, but tell me how you recognize that strangeness in this stranger's eyes.
Yeah, so Viola bumps into this person, and I think because of that, she immediately is on edge.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts checking subtly just to make sure that none of her stuff is gone, and figuring out who she bumped into. So her head snaps up to see who she just bumped into, and she locks onto the eyes of this woman, and notices this, which Viola has noticed about herself, in the mirror, and she sees this quality that is just not totally human, and she recognizes it, and she I think has Viola encountered people with this same tell before?
You tell me. It sounds like it's a pretty distinctive thing. Certainly you would remember having run across someone like this in the past.
Yeah, I think I probably have. I think it's rare, but I think it has happened. So yeah, so when Viola sees this, she puts a hand on the woman's shoulder, and she goes, "My name's Viola Conroy. I might be helpful in the city if you're new here." And then she walks off and leaves.
Are you picking one of the other establish your bona fides options? Because it's sort of a little mini game where if the MC picks one out, you get to take another if you're so inclined.
Okay. I am going to say that they are well informed and have a secret to hold over me.
I love picking players. We'll go with the disadvantageous option for the drama. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so you introduce yourself. You still there? The camera went out for a sec. You introduce yourself, saying you're Viola Conroy. You might be helpful, and you see the touch of a smile on her face, like she can't help herself as she says, "Oh, I know who you are," and then starts walking away. at that point, you notice that she's definitely swiped your cigar case.
Yeah, and Viola, whew, Viola immediately turns around the second she feels that weight is off in her pocket. She pivots around and is going to try to steal it back.
All right.
She doesn't want to make a scene on the street, you know. And she is probably in her own right accomplished pickpocket. So
okay, so you haven't taken the special move for doing this.
special move for doing this.
So let's see what we've got in the basic moves that might make sense here. I'm wondering actually if this woman seems to have like a touch of the type of gift that you have, then like the crowd like just like starts getting in your way, right? As it happens, right? She's lucky enough that as she turns away, things start impeding you. So it's possible that if you're kind of really like matching your gifts here, you'd be getting spooky to overcome an obstacle, unless you see another move that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, getting spooky makes sense.
All right, what does that look like? Does Viola like have any sort of conscious sense of I'm like leaning into the part of me that's not just a kind of human con woman?
I think there is a slight sense of relief. It feels like there's like a release of pressure when the powers trigger, but I don't think that she has conscious control over them. No.
All right, and I put a picture in our NPCs tab of this mysterious stranger, who's got a cigar case that belongs to you and knows something about who you are. So that's something. Let's see you get spooky as you try to catch up and reclaim your prize here.
Yeah, so that is 4 and a 5.
And what is your fable stat?
And my fable stat is 0, so that is just a 9.
Just a 9. Great. So you can do it, right? You're gonna get spooky. You're gonna overcome an obstacle here. On a hit, the world warps to your will. So you'll tell us about that in a second. But you're also, because you rolled a 9, going to choose 2 from this list of little kind of drawbacks here.
Okay. Let's see.
And the get spooky drawbacks that we're choosing between are: you struggle to keep your sanity fully intact, mark a stress. You've drawn attention and made yourself a target for now or later, or your powers do things beyond what you meant.
Yeah, so I will mark a stress, and I think that this does draw attention. Perhaps not.
Yeah, for now or later is what it says.
Any more attention than the previous part of the interaction did, but it certainly it continues to draw attention. So,
what does it look like? How do you have like, how does your luck carry you through to like move through this crowd and re-steal your prize?
Yeah, well, I think there's just like there's a vendor on the street that like comes out and it blocks the pedestrian flow in such a way that
a balloon salesman, maybe.
Yeah,
people are buying balloons, and the like view is obscured by this big balloon bouquet he's carrying.
Yeah, and as this sort of like cart pushes through the crowd, Viola at the perfect moment in the perfect place Viola just slips by past it and is right up behind this woman.
Nice. And you're just basically trying to take back what she took from you, the cigar case.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got it, and then there's amidst the distraction, there's a moment where she she turns around, right, and once again there's eye contact, but then people are pushing by, right, the crowd is filling in, and yeah, you can get lost in the crowd if you want to. What is that what you do, Viola?
Yeah, I think so. She slips back into the crowd and continues on to the checkpoint.
Great. Yeah. Well, without further incident, you're able to get to Checkpoint Midnight, and when you arrive, you see Norbert Jakowiak sitting across from none other than Anders Ellis, who's a professional acquaintance of yours, as it happens. And he's clearly left a seat open for you. Do you take it?
Do I? Well, if I already. Is Norbert at the table too, or?
Yeah. There's kind of a booth, as it were, with the seats such that Anders and Norbert can be there, and there's a place waiting for you to sit down as well.
Yeah. So Viola does take the seat.
Great. Yeah. Norbert says, Fraulein Conway. Or wait, sorry. Remind me which one it is. Conroy. Yeah.
Conroy. Yeah.
He says the right one. I just got mixed up. Fraulein Conroy. So good of you to join us. Have you met Herr Professor Anders Ellis?
Yes, we know each other. A business relationship.
Well, good. This can make things simpler. Herr Professor Ellis was telling me that he needs assistance because the task that he has promised to perform is a difficult one, and I thought, who better than the woman who has already liberated one sought-after item? You do have that with you, yes?
Yeah, and she takes out the cigar case and sort of puts it on the table and slides it across.
Absolutely, yeah. So Norbert takes the cigar, probably, yeah. He opens the case to examine this black cigar, and as he'll sniff it, right? He's treating it like it's like the cigar sommelier we met before, right? But you certainly suspect it's not just for recreation that he's interested in this item. In fact, you probably hear at the very edge of your senses, Viola, that kind of that unmistakable voice from your dream, right? As if Sigmund Freud is whispering something, while Norbert examines the cigar. Do either of you do anything right now? He's checking out the wares. He's just introduced you two, though of course it turns out you already know each other.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it and kind of hold out my hand and say, "May I?"
Seeing if he'll let you take a look. Yeah, he looks between you two, and then as a gesture of generosity, allows you to take a check on the cigar yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna apply my expertise and sensitivity to this.
Are you trying to decipher the situation?
Yes, I am. I want to get as much as I can out of it. I think that I'm going to go with fable.
Yeah, it sounds like you're checked in to the supernatural side of the goings on. So please roll with Fable to decipher the situation.
Yeah. Well, I think that it is actually made of plants is a big part of it.
You know something about
Oh, but I rolled a 4 plus 2, 6.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So you can mark experience.
Okay.
That's in the advancement tab, which is one over from the PCs. Just find the column that should correspond with you and mark your XP tab.
There we go.
And on a miss for decipher, you still ask one, but you're in the MC's hands. Prepare for the worst. Great. So yeah, go ahead and ask one of those questions first.
Okay. What's going on under the surface?
Yeah, absolutely. So you recognize the the leaves that have been used here. This is in fact, among people who traffic in the arcane, it has been theorized that a correctly constituted cigar could be a way to trap a restless spirit. So between that tiny little whisper that maybe even you caught a hint of, and you're kind of recognizing the botanical basis of this item, it's clear this cigar is very haunted.
Okay.
However, you are in the MC's hands on a miss. So I think as you check this out, kind of like after a moment or two, Norbert kind of grabs it back and then says, like looking like a little more kind of canny than you've seen him before, says, "Anders, you seem troubled, like you've seen a ghost," and that's almost an accusation. I'm going to go ahead and say you've unwittingly let your guard down as you looked over. You kind of tapped into your more supernatural expertise to examine this, and so that is a basic move that I'm triggering, where you kind of choose from the menu of options under let your guard down.
And so the idea, he kind of figured out that I had some.
It seems like it, right? There's kind of there. So when you let your guard down, and in a moment of intimacy, and we're kind of calling this conference, right, at this table where some secrets are being bandied about, a moment of intimacy. So you choose, is it that you've revealed a secret and they're going to gain leverage, or one of the other options? There's always the start to care too much. I'm not sure if that totally fits, but you can harden your heart and put up a wall here too, and that's mark XP and fill your stress track to avoid being drawn in.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Now, does that mean I fill in my entire stress track? All the boxes.
Your stress track would go from 0 to 4 if you pick that at the moment.
Yeah, I think it spooked me because I almost tipped my hand.
Yeah, well, it's a one shot. You got to drive that character like a stolen car.
Yeah, exactly. So I almost showed my hand, and it's made me very on edge because I've realized that he's, that I have to be extremely careful, and that has me suddenly freaked out.
Yeah, cool. How do we? Does that manifest somehow? Like, are you the type of person where when you're stressed out, people around you can tell, or is there is there a very subtle cue that the audience knows that your stress level is suddenly shot through the roof?
I would say that I put my I realized that I have clenched my hand that has the messed up finger.
Yeah. Mm.
And it like takes everything I can to like just kind of like move that underneath the table so that it's and it's just there's like this low level mild agony that I'm trying to use to keep me focused.
Got it. So it's you're kind of putting yourself through the ringer here to avoid spilling the beans.
Right. Like if I am feeling that pain the whole time, it will remind me of what I'm here to do.
Yeah, Norbert, and like kind of as you you put that up, Norbert kind of kind of makes sort of a like some kind of a grunt or a right, puts a pin in that thought as he carefully puts the cigar away, trying to keep it trying to tuck it away into his own jacket, in a safe place, as he says to Viola, "You didn't have any trouble delivering this, I assume?"
No. No more than usual, at least.
Well, good. Then I think you're just the woman for the job. Herr Professor Ellis can tell you about the manuscript that we are hoping to acquire next, and I'm sure a woman of your particular skills can be invaluable in making sure to bring that to the right hands.
Yeah, Viola smiles and she nods and she goes, "Well, I would be more than happy to do whatever you are contracting me for, as long as the price is right."
And he says, "Oh, how foolish of me! Of course." And then like pulls out the like briefcase that he's had next to him, flips it open. You see, there's what denomination did you ask to be paid for this for the cigar job?
That's a good question. The Austrian shilling, probably.
Great. Assuming that those come in bill form, there are stacks and stacks of Austrian shillings in this case. Richard, you feel like sounds like you have like a historical footnote to offer.
No,
okay.
No, not at all.
I wondered if you were more read in on the currency. All right, but yeah, he's paying you fully for your part of the cigar job, and he says, and there's plenty more where that came from. I'm willing to pay double for this manuscript.
Yeah, Viola smiles and she goes, "Well, that would be absolutely satisfactory."
He'll put his hand out to shake,
and she takes it. Yeah.
And then he'll offer to shake your hand, Anders, and then like kind of sigh, right? Realizing that your right hand is unavailable, and then offer to shake with the left instead.
Oh, I wouldn't dream of. I wouldn't dream of it until I'm able to meet you as a co-equal. I think we can dispense with this and know that you have all my respect.
But you agree to work with Miss Conroy and bring me the manuscript?
I will definitely work with Miss Conroy to find the manuscript.
Okay, I want you to roll. It feels like you're trying to roll, distract or trick, right, for him not to notice the wording you're using here.
Yeah. So what role is that?
That's plus operator. Yeah, distractor, trick, and
Okay,
NPC
okay,
is one of her
good.
basic moves. You also have leverage over Norbert, right? Like we established, you've been able to string him along. He like does rely on you. If you remind him of your leverage somehow, you get advantage on the roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna say what's a handshake between old acquaintances?
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and roll 3, and pick the two
All
you like and
right.
add your operator.
Okay. Oh wow, that hung on a 4 for a long time. It is 6 plus 2, so that is 8.
Great. So we get to choose some options from the distractor trick list. You can just choose 2 of them. It sounds to me like the one you most want is you definitely keep them confused for more than a moment or two.
Yes, absolutely.
Which of the other ones are you choosing?
Oh, did that expend the leverage or
No. You only spend leverage when you choose to do so as a exert your leverage move. You can otherwise kind of remind people of your leverage to get advantage on non-violent moves targeting them.
I'm going to keep my my comrade here out of off the hot seat.
I see. So you're choosing. You don't have to throw anyone else under the bus. Also,
right.
Great. Yeah. So how do you kind of then seal the deal on convincing Norbert that you are trustworthy enough, and Viola is certainly an asset to have added here rather than a liability.
Right. I say I am well aware of what Ms. Conroy brings to the table, and I think that she will serve the end of let's see of achieving the goal as expeditiously as possible.
Yeah, he nods. He seems satisfied with this, and kind of bids you a good day, and sets out to leave the checkpoint. We'll have the 2 of you there, having kind of agreed to work together. I'm going to check in with Jack. Jack, we had a little scene establishing a handler that you now have. If it's all right, I'll kind of montage the proffering of a mission, just so that that's on the table for you. Does that work?
A handler that I have or a handler that I hate, because there's a big difference in the words when you switch that one letter.
Why not both? So the like first envelope he handed you was the evidence that he and his partners know things about the Prometheus initiative. A second envelope he hands you, however, is kind of your mission should you choose to accept it, right? And it's kind of as it happens, it has to do with some people that you've already been looking into. Apparently the folks that Mark is speaking for here are concerned about the Dream Stealers as well, and the kind of document you get is shows kind of a map of the city with a place marked out on it. It's a bombed out library that used to belong to the Psychiatric and Neurological Society of Vienna, and it's it's believed the Dream Stealers have been meeting there. Mark Miles's associates would like whatever they're doing there shut down, and any kind of arcane paraphernalia found there, brought to them. perhaps possibly he left you with this folder while he went to ensconce himself elsewhere in the checkpoint, if that works for you.
Yeah. I have to talk to Frau Morgenstern about him.
Yeah.
A library of psychological documents, psychological and neurological documents. You said correct?
Yes, and it's a bombed out library. Like this building was destroyed in the bombing of the city, but the map suggests that someone has kind of taken up. That some people are making use of the site nonetheless.
Of course they are. Right. So I'll take a look at that and yeah. I'll walk outside and whistle for Ushi.
Excellent. Yeah. So kind of mysteriously quickly, this strange dog that's sort of rimmed with blue fire that we met last time around is suddenly kind of at your heels. Like kind of sitting up and probably tail wagging, looking at you.
This feels like it might be a job that could be that Viola might be able to help with, given her unique talents.
You speaking out loud to the dog here?
Well, who else was
just
talking
in your
to?
head? Okay, yeah.
I mean, Ushi's a good boy. He's not. He's just wagging his tail like
good girl, right? Didn't we say that last time?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, she's just looking up at me like, that's the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. Of course, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. So the dog seems on board.
Of course, Viola hasn't met Ushi. I don't know if Viola likes dogs. I mean, it's a ghost dog. Maybe that'll be different. So where do I find Viola at this point?
Well, here. Let me ask, Viola, Anders. Do you want to be walking out of the checkpoint right at this moment and run into Jack? Shall we just bring the threads together that way?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right. Yeah. So you, as you wonder this, well, speak of with the devil's own luck, Viola and a man that you also recognize from his ministrations to you that have never quite kept you dead, seem to emerge, in conversation, walking out of the checkpoint, right over to you. And I'm sure you spot each other at this point. Yeah.
Speak of the devil, and the devil appears. How are you doing, Vi?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I had a nice couple of days out, and now I'm back to work. So, how was your time in Vienna while I was away?
It was noisy.
I find the city always is.
I have a request, if I may. So apparently a group meeting in this bombed out library, and you have superior infiltration skills. I'm hoping you might be able to help me figure out what they're up to, maybe extract some information.
Viola nods. She says, yeah, I can give it a shot, but...
No promises?
No promises. It's a pro bono thing. I'm sure you understand.
Pro bono? I was expecting to be quid pro quo.
Well, unless I have something I need from you. Which right now, it doesn't seem like it.
Our skill sets don't often intersect, do they?
Anders, you're here for this. You also see that this somewhat strange dog at Jack's heels is kind of like growling. Like it does not seem happy to see Viola, to be honest.
Okay.
Anders, what do you do?
I am going to while these two seem to be sorting out some interpersonal business, I'm going to hold my left hand down for the dog to smell.
Are you invoking "Gotta Stop Meeting" like this?
Yes, I am. I am.
Okay, great. Yeah, when you first encounter an NPC, you may declare them an old friend and roll plus operator.
Okay, all right.
I
Let's
love
do
that
it.
we're using this on a dog. This is great.
Okay. That would be a 10.
Oh man, yes. On a hit, they offer you comfort and aid, even if it exposes them to danger or retribution. So yeah, so like the dog, like the dog clearly is not happy about something about Viola, but when you approached it, it recognizes you. When is it that you've encountered this strange creature before in the streets of the city?
I think that there was a time when I was staying in a ground level room in a pension in Vienna, and there was this like spectral animal
Mm-hmm.
that like and I had kind of set up this makeshift lab, and I was able to essentially like make a like spectral treat essentially. And this dog would come and like, because it clearly was having like, it was like wandering around in this alley. It didn't seem to be able to partake of normal food or anything, but I was able to kind of like whip something together offhandedly that, so
Yeah, applying some of your arcane expertise. Yeah, and we'll even say maybe that like after eating that, the dog became more solid, right? Because now the dog seems solid, has this sort of spectral aura, but you kind of met it when it was in a more like liminal state, and you're seem to bring it down. Yeah, so it is happy to see you. It puts its paw in your hand to shake, and like gives a like friendly bark of greeting.
I raise an eyebrow at this. You seem to have a way with dogs, Anders.
Oh, only this one. We're old friends.
Oh, really? You'll have to tell me about that sometime. Ophidar and I were coming out of here the other day, and, well, sort of acquired this little fella. This girl is part of our entourage.
I think it's a welcome addition.
I mean, honestly, who doesn't like dogs? I mean, you like dogs, don't you?
Yeah, Viola, do you like dogs?
You're muted.
Viola looks at Jack and goes, I don't really like animals.
The dog, bares its teeth at you briefly, and then like if Anders pets it, it goes back to being happy. But it clearly is not not all that pleased with you, to be quite honest. All right, here's my question: Are we getting close to embarking on a mission with allies? Do we think we're getting towards the point where these characters are going to try to pull something together? I feel like we need to loop Anders into what's been discussed.
Right. I'm fine with that.
All right. Yeah. Give me the sense. What is how is it, Anders, that you kind of inveigle yourself into what's going on here, if that's what you want to do?
Well, I think that I need to kind of create a smoke screen. around my activities, and so if I'm kind of I think that if I kind of throw myself into this, it might buy me a little bit more time, and I'm I certainly like we're looking at like pouring through some old arcane texts and that kind of stuff, correct?
That could indeed be part of what's involved. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of my wheelhouse. So I think it makes sense, and I'm on the trail of something that this might help me to narrow it down.
Very good. Then in that case, let's put a pin there, take a bio break, and when we come back, we'll see if you want to do any sort of prep before we make a mission roll to see how it's going as you kind of embark on this mission. We'll go ahead and take 10 minutes and be back here at about 10 of.
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about that. There was a knock at the door. Weird.
No worries. All right. We're back. Great. So a mechanical note I want to flag, since Anders, you took all that stress earlier. I want to make sure you're aware of one of our mechanics, which is your release moves. Those are things you can use once per session to either mark experience or clear a stress. So you can scroll down and see the adept release moves, and when you think you're triggering one, do flag it for me, so you make sure you get the benefit from it, which could be XP, could be clearing some of that stress.
Does it clear stress or a condition?
I think it's just stress. Yes. Yeah, you can trigger each release move once per session to clear a stress or mark XP. Conditions are harder to clear.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the operatives have met together. It sounds like they've gotten a sense from Jack of the mission that he's currently on, and are willing to help out with this on a quid pro quo basis, or in Anders' case as something of a cover. Anything you want to do to prepare before deciding on your approach and setting off on this mission?
Is this considered downtime still?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so if I trigger a refresh move in downtime, that can clear a condition?
That can, yes.
Okay. In that case, I would like to... I'd like to trigger Die Hard.
Oh, yeah. So the refresh move is different from the release move.
Damn it!
Sorry.
What's the refresh move?
Scroll up and you'll see your refresh move, which is during your downtime when you bury the dead or visit a grave site. Pick one and clear your stress track or clear a condition. It's everyone's got something like that sort of gives a flavor of what we might find that type of character doing in downtime, and that works as a refresh to help clear conditions or clear your stress track.
And so if I invite somebody along to a grave site, I clear the stress and the conditions, not them.
Yeah, that's correct. If they come with you, you get kind of both benefits.
Okay. In that case, it's probably better if Anders does a refresh and invites somebody along to clear. Well, Anders, you don't have any conditions, but you do have a lot of stress to get rid of. You're muted.
Viola, I have a proposal. I think it would really help if we maybe I found some action. So Anders is a bridge hustler. But he's asking. He's having Viola. He figures they can collude to make a little bit of money.
Yeah, Viola, you up for that?
Yeah, I think so.
Because this sounds like a bridge, as it were, between your refresh move, Viola, and Anders's. Since Viola...
so with the worthy opponent, what I'm gonna, because we're not, I am proposing that Viola be the other worthy opponent. Because what we're gonna do is have a side. I'm proposing a side bet where we'll see who can fleece these marks for the most.
I see. Yeah. So the game of skill is not bridge itself, but rather the game you're playing on the gamblers here you're pulling in.
Who's better at cheating? Yeah.
All right, give me just a little bit of this montage, Viola. Where's where do you find some likely marks for a card game like this, and how is the what are some shots of this going on as we see that in preparation for a mission, what these two are doing is fleecing some rubes competitively.
Yeah, so I think Viola and Anders are probably in, a bar or a cafe or a coffee house or something, at not at opposite ends, but far enough away to, seem like they are not together, and not so far away to seem coordinated.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have their own, they each have their own sort of open table. That I think when Viola starts, she walks into this cafe and she sits down at this table and she pulls out her own deck of cards, which she has with her, and she starts, shuffling it, and she just starts dealing out her cards, and dealing out a hand of cards to the empty seats around the table. Just confident that someone will sit down, because someone always sits down,
Yeah, and I think
Viola.
a group of British tourists, are attracted by this and end up sitting down and taking you up on this implicit invitation from these cards.
Yeah.
Anders, what's your approach? How do we see you starting your hustle in this cafe?
So I'm actually the way I'm going to try to play it is that I see this card game starting, and it's like I'm not. It looks like rather than like inviting myself to participate, I play out this kind of playlet of trying to deal solitaire to myself, and not being able to shuffle the cards.
So you get some kind or opportunistic soul to shuffle the cards for you.
Yeah, and I'm trying to make that a distraction, that I'm unable to do it.
And what this evolves into is like eventually both of you kind of like running games, like with some money changing hands under the table, and kind of like working your way through the clientele, to see who makes off with the most. Is that right?
Yeah, sure.
Very cool. Well, I think this handily hits on both of your refresh moves. So you each have the option to you each could clear any conditions you had, as well as clear your stress tracks.
Yeah, well, I have no conditions, so I'll just clear stress.
Viola, setting your stress back down to 0 as well.
Yes.
All right, Jack, what are you up to?
Damn, it's a shame Ofidar isn't here. I'm going to go wander around a graveyard of World War II veterans. It's not that I necessarily knew them, but I knew people like them.
Yeah, I mean, presumably some, here it's more like Austrian resistance fighters. Yeah.
And I think Ushi's walking with me.
Absolutely.
Not really wagging her tail or sniffing much, but like kind of uncharacteristically somber.
She seems to know this graveyard somehow. Yeah.
Weird thing is, she goes up to one particular grave and sniffs at it and sits down. I don't recognize the name, but it seems to matter to her.
Yeah, and then kind of in the distance, right? Like in a otherwise deserted graveyard. There's like just one kind of woman standing, in kind of a shadowy part, shaded by a weeping willow tree, maybe, who kind of just gives you a small wave, right, as you're walking through.
Is it Death again?
Yeah, I think it's Death again. Not like beckoning you over, just kind of acknowledging that you've come to visit.
Still doesn't have anything for me, clearly.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, with that refresh move, you're able to clear a condition.
I will go ahead and clear that condition.
Putting you back in fighting shape, Jack.
Well, at least not rolling at -2.
So let's work out the stakes here. The mission is, Jack, that you'd been tasked with stopping what's going on at this library and bringing any arcane paraphernalia found there, back to I guess to Mark, if he's set himself up as your handler. And you've sought out Viola's help, and Anders somehow kind of came along as that was happening. What's the angle of attack? What were you envisioning? You have recruited your allies. How are you having them? How are you setting out your chess pieces, as it were, to mix in a different game metaphor?
I'm thinking that I'm going to rely on Viola to infiltrate.
Mm-hmm.
And we've set up some signals so that she can relay to me whether I need to come in with guns blazing, as it were. And Anders is, at this point, I think, just on lookout, trying to make sure there's no cops coming, anything like that. My intent there is to have Anders look over any kind of paraphernalia, literature, etc., because I know Mark Miles. I don't like him and I don't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wants something stopped, I want to know whether it actually needs to be stopped. And I'm sure as hell not going to give him anything that might be useful. If our interests align in stopping something, sure. But that's the extent of it. So
fair enough.
I mostly want Anders there to take a look at whatever is recoverable or retrievable, figure out whether it should be recovered and retrieved and for whom, and to dispose of the rest of it.
That makes sense to me. Viola, sounds like you're the point woman then for this infiltration. What's your approach? When do you suggest attempting this infiltration? How are you trying to get into a kind of a building that's officially not supposed to be open to the public, right? It's I'm sure it's got like some degree of kind of construction set up around it, though seemingly paused at the moment.
Yeah, well, so I think Viola puts on a business outfit. She puts on something that is clean and serious, I think, more so than what she usually wears. And she walks up to the construction, the closed off building, and she goes up to the first sort of worker that she sees in front of the building,
Yes.
And she goes, "Excuse me, I'm here for inspection. I need to get inside."
Oh, classic. Right. The whole you're the one who's supposed to be here. Anyone questioning you is getting in the way of the official business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. That sounds like we've got enough to roll a mission move, because we have a sense of the overall plan. We can flash back to more preparation as needed. A little bit of tech stolen from Blades in the Dark there, and we know kind of Viola's angle of approach, which is trying to get in under the cover of being the official. So kind of this is in daylight then that you're trying to make your way in.
I think so, yeah.
Great. Cool. Well, then let's make a mission move. Do you have good intel about the mission? Jack, what do you think? You feel good about your intel?
For Miles? Hell no.
Say no more. Do you have resources or connections that will help with this mission?
Yes, indeed, we do. There are at least 2. I think actually we can probably crank that up to 3 with Ushi, because Ushi is a paranormal ghosty dog. So
Right.
Ushi can sense things that maybe we can't quite make out.
So Ushi's standing guard with you, then I take it.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Then that's going to be a +1 from those questions. Does everyone participating trust the leader's competence and intentions? Well, who's the leader? Jack, do you consider yourself the leader as the instigator here, or are you kind of deferring to Viola as the tip of the spear?
I absolutely trust Viola's infiltration abilities. I would be somewhat hesitant to call myself the leader, because I tend not to trust people who
Call themselves the leader.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've run into too many of those people, and usually they wind up getting people killed. So I think the question would be, instead, do Anders and Viola trust that I'm competent and have good intentions?
Viola?
Well, I think Viola trusts Jack on, for this, certainly. And I don't think that she is. I think she is being upfront about what she is doing,
Okay. And Anders, are you being upfront about your agenda and motives for the mission? Or, sorry, first, do you trust the leader's competence and intentions?
I do trust the leader, but I am not being upfront about my agenda.
because you are working your own angle. Great. All right. So that's a -1 from those. So it makes it all a flat roll. Yep. So it sounds like there's it sounds like Jack doesn't totally consider himself the leader, but maybe the closest thing to a leader in everyone's eyes. So Puckett, will you make this roll?
Alrighty.
See how things are going.
God, and roll for your party's been so wonky lately. Okay. It rolled, and it's an 11.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Look, I'm shocked too.
Yeah,
I kept waiting for the dice for one of those dice to roll over to a 1 or something like that.
All right. I'm seeing it too. Okay. So yeah, on a 10+, you're golden. We pick up with you already in the midst of the mission, having dealt with the first obstacle and coming from a position of strength. So Viola, without any additional rolls here, you can narrate how you kind of get past any sort of security or checkpoints here, and are kind of gotten deep into this partially destroyed library, in search of what you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, I think Viola walks up and goes, "Excuse me, I'm the inspector. I need to get into the building." And the worker that she approached looks at her and goes, "Oh, good, you're early."
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's your lucky day, I guess.
Yeah. And he just turns around and leads her in to inspect the building
Yeah.
in
So
a streak of remarkable luck.
right, and of course, if you're like here as the inspector, they're like showing you all the like places in the building, right? And
Yeah.
uh, and like at each time you like pass a window, you're able to like look out and see where Jack is positioned, maybe because what's the like what's the like the signal for it's all going fine that you're flashing him subtly throughout this part.
I think if everything's going fine, the signal is nothing.
Yeah. So if you're not seeing any signal, it seems she's gotten in all right, and maybe even you catch glimpses of her, moving through the building. You feel like, all right, she's got it handled. Yeah. So what is Viola the kind of most? What's the clue, right? What's the clue that this is not a totally ordinary, partially destroyed library, but a site of some arcane significance, something that you with your burgeoning expertise are able to pick up, but the workman showing you around is completely oblivious to.
Yeah. I think that there is a rare book room, at in the lower on the lower levels of the library.
Yeah.
Where they're kept in the dark to keep the pages, well, ostensibly, they're kept in like a sealed, climate-controlled room for researchers to keep the rare books well, because they're these old manuscripts, but who knows what's really going on in the rare books room.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So the workman's like, yeah, they told us not to touch that part. You don't need to inspect that, right? As he's like giving you kind of his impression of just that it's a really important rare books room. No one's supposed to go in or out while we're doing our work. On the rebuilding those columns and putting the floors back in.
Yeah, and she puts she waves away the concern. She goes, "Oh, well, I'm an expert in library sciences. I think it'll be quite all right."
So like he's like, all right, and then like unlocks the like pretty like heavy vault like door leading into the rare books room. He's like, should I come with you, Fraulein?
Oh no, that won't be necessary. I just need to inspect the contents of the library, make sure that everything is being stored properly. You know the drill.
He kind of nods at that all makes sense to him. And it sounds like you're heading down into the rare book section. Oh, I see. We've got a suggestion in the chat.
Oh, I think yes, there is an expert that I am expecting to help me with evaluation. Yeah, I think at this point actually, Viola turns and goes, "Well, actually, if you could do me a favor, I have a colleague coming by to help with some valuations. Some of the older books, some of the more expensive books are being sent off to private collections in the renovation. So if you could just let him in for me, and I'll get to work cataloging these."
Do you want us to burn a stress on that?
As a flashback move, I think I will happily do that.
All right. Is Alexi frozen?
Yes, he definitely is.
Well, let's give him a minute. Oh, yeah.
Friday.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, hello.
Welcome back.
Hey, everybody all right?
Yeah, you look kind of stressed, but
well, my internet just decided to depart from me for a moment there. When I got out, I was hearing you again discussing how how you had a colleague to bring in. Do we mind going back to there? Did you go on further with before it became clear I was getting booted out of my own
We
StreamYard?
just decided that probably constituted a flashback.
Oh, nice! Just a flashback of this was the plan to bring in.
Yeah. So
Anders.
I took that stress, and
Great. Then I don't think we need an additional role there. We're just saying, the plan was to bring in Anders. The guard is buying your act as the inspector, and so kind of like nods along as you say you've got an expert coming in. In fact, probably seems relieved that an expert is going to come to look at this rare books room, right? Which is so rare and important. So Anders, what's the signal that lets you know to arrive as and be the expert accomplice?
I think we just had a count. Like it was they're just kind of a there's kind of a coordinated strategy where we went, okay, like wait count 1200 and then show up or whatever. So like he gets to do have all that stuff, and then I just kind of walk up and rattle the door that's
Yeah. So the workman like goes over, lets you in, says right this way. The inspector's waiting for you. So then and we'll usher.
And I figure Anders doesn't even really have to sell this, because this is the kind of thing he would be doing in a professional capacity. Like, evaluating a collection of rare books is not a con for him.
Yeah, that's that. Back when he was a graced rather than disgraced academic, that's the sort of thing he would have done every day. Sure. So the two of you, the guard opens the vault door, points you inside. It's dark, obviously, because they have to keep things dark. He offers you a flashlight. Wondering if that's what you need for this.
Oh no, but we want to. I say that the harsh light of these modern bulbs will damage the fibers. Please.
He's duly impressed, and kind of says, well, I guess I'll leave you to it. Viola, Anders, the door is open. Are you kind of entering this kind of dark lower level of the library?
Yeah.
What I'm curious, what are you using for light?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It is a contained lantern with like a bullseye.
A thief's lantern, basically.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So in the light of the bullseye lantern, kind of playing over, you see indeed this room just seems older than the rest of the building. Your footsteps echo on kind of bare stone floors. There's cases with the glass covers, but tell me how can you tell after you've moved past a few of these that you're entering an area that's magically warded? Actually, Viola first. You've identified that there's something arcane about this section. How can you tell when you're hitting the part where that arcaneness has its own sort of arcane protection?
Yeah, well, I think the way that Viola understands it is as she enters the room and as she takes some steps in and the magic grows to be more pervasive, I think that in the same way that using her powers feels sort of like a release of a pressure building up inside of her, it feels very constricting. Something is pushing in on her from the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's, yeah, you get that sense, and it gets strong enough. You feel like you'd have to like be like pushing through and breaking something to move forward at a certain point. Um, Anders, how does that feel to you? What's the what's the tell about the kind of arcane nature of this barrier that you're coming up against?
It's definitely an odor.
Hmm.
It
What does it smell like?
well, it's something that I associate with these kind of these kinds of inks and papers that tend to be used in these arcane texts, that I've learned to just kind of recognize when that kind of air is about. And and there's also like magic has a kind of smell.
Is it a sweet smell or more of an acrid one?
It's a little bit of a like burnt ozone kind of smell.
Okay, like a little like electrical. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're picking up that smell. I think your sense is that you could walk through this with effort, but you're not sure what that would do to you or to the room. So yeah, so Viola, first, what do you do?
Yeah, so Viola is going to start. Well, actually, that is a okay. Let me just like take a step back for a moment. What exactly is the mission that we are on right now? Right? Like, what is our? I got a little bit lost in the minutia.
Yeah.
And cannot recall our actual overarching goal anymore.
Yeah, Jack has intelligence that I think the name Dream Stealers was used, right? So Jack has intelligence that the Dream Stealers seem to be using this site for their arcane purposes. Jack's associates want the Dream Stealers stopped and any of their arcane paraphernalia confiscated and brought back to them.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I think when Viola enters the rare book room, she is going to start looking for things that seem like they have been used often. Some of these shelves are dusty and they haven't been touched in years, probably. But if this is a cult group that is meeting frequently, what are their ritual objects? Because those are going to be some of the most used objects in this room.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's roll to decipher a situation.
Okay.
And it sounds like even though you're deciphering stuff about occult things, you're just using common sense and good good guesswork to do this, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, roll with operator.
Okay. Let me get. I accidentally closed out the roll for your party, so let me just open that up again. And now that is a 4 and a 3, which is +2, so 9.
Okay, got it. So up to a 9, you get to ask one question from the decipher list.
Great. I'm going to ask, what danger am I overlooking?
Very good. Yeah. I think you were looking through these things, and you've maybe you've pulled a heist on some occultists before. They love their like little ostentatious touches. You find like a little Egyptian statuette with gems for eyes, and something tells you, yeah, obviously those eyes start to glow, and you get the sense, this is part of their their warning system, right? That as those eyes will glow, probably some linked statuette somewhere starts to glow, and if you just push through this barrier, you'll set off their magical alarms, and they'll know an intruder has come here. Do you convey that to Anders?
Yes, I do.
Anders, what do you do?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to drop a bomb to go out on here. And I'm going to say, well, we better be quick about it then. And I push right through.
Okay, I see. So after Viola points this out, you just decide speed is our ally here, and you push through, and there's the eyes glow bright red, and there's a terrifying screech coming from the statuette as you do so. But with a little effort, you are through the barrier, and you're looking around, seeing what was so important to keep you guys away from it, and you're. Bullseye lantern falls on a big slab-like table, and at the center of it, how do you immediately recognize the Voynich Codex?
Again, well, it's again that smell that I can't. That definitely it's like nothing else on the planet. And I remember vividly the last time I saw it as the ceiling collapsed on the basement in Dresden.
Absolutely. Is it bound in leather, or what kind of a codex are we picturing?
It is bound in an unidentifiable animal skin.
Sure. Classic. All right. Cutting away for a moment, the audience understands that at the exact moment that is happening, Jack, Ushi starts barking like a mad dog, right? It's just freaking out, looking towards the library.
So it's gone pear-shaped, huh? All right, Ushi, be ready. There's probably going to be people coming. Our job is to make sure we protect the exit.
Okay, so you're staying there, kind of to try to make sure your allies will have egress.
Yeah, I am securing exfil at this point.
Okay, cool.
Good news is I can go loud at this point.
Say one more time.
The good news is I can go loud at this point.
I mean, the dog's barking plenty loud. True.
I don't have to use my silenced pistol. I can use the big one.
So Viola, you hear the alarm going off. You see that Anders has just kind of pushed his way through. Breaking the barrier such that it's you have been detected. Also, you see, he focused the lantern. He focuses the lantern on that codex on the slab, but probably for a moment you see it play along the walls, and you see that there are basically what look like kind of bricked over doors. Also in this kind of hidden chamber here. So just keeping that in mind. What do you do?
So I think that Viola is going to look at Anders, right, who has just crossed this barrier and released this energy and, kind of fucked it all up. And she is going to go to the bricked over doors, and she is looking for a hinge or anything, any sign of a give in these doors that they might still be functional, and this is a facade.
Okay, just testing at them.
Yeah.
I can tell you they are genuinely bricked over, but as that screech is sounding louder, you see one of them start to kind of start to kind of like waver and sway, like the bricks are transforming into a space and something, it might be about to walk through it.
Okay. Yeah. So Viola jumps back and she is going to run, I think. Yeah, this is on Anders, and he can clean up his own mess.
Great. All right.
All
Let's
right.
have you roll to get out and see how that goes for you.
Yeah, of course. So that is a 1 and a 6.
Okay. And you're not actually sneaking out. You're just running for it, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm booking it. I think
right.
this is
So add your weapon to that to break out, right? Because you're not using subtlety or stealth on the exit here. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So that comes to does that come to a 7?
That comes to an 8, yeah.
Okay. All right. On an 8, for get out, you make it, but you leave something important behind or take something difficult with you. Mark a stress. I have an idea here. What do you have a thought on that, or are you up to just take something difficult with you?
No, please go ahead.
Great. Yeah. So like you see the guard saying like, oh, Fraulein Inspector, and then you're just right past him, and then like a moment later, the guard is bowled over because something has followed you from out of that crypt-like under place. And so like as you slam open the door and are making your way out of this library, Jack, you probably observe it trawling right behind Viola, just kind of a like the angriest shadow you've ever seen, and it looks like the shadow of a million things at once, right? Like like kind of bits of human shadow, but bits of animal shadow, and it's just moving over surfaces and like seems to be kind of like reaching out to like touch Viola's own shadow, in pursuit of her. Yeah, you're securing the exit, Jack. What do you do?
Ushi, go. Get it. And I would like to flash back to preparations because this entire thing has clearly gone sideways.
Yeah, what did you have prepared for this?
I rigged up some fire bombs around the library.
Nice.
Yell at Vi. Is Anders still in there?
Are you yelling that to Viola? Sorry.
Yeah, to Viola.
Yeah. Viola, what do you say? Jack's asking if Anders is still in there.
Yeah, Viola yells, "If he's not behind me." Yeah, she hasn't taken time to turn around. So
okay. Right. Time to draw my gun. I'm securing exfil, and I'm not going to leave anybody behind, and I'm not going to set off the fire bombs while I have reason to believe Anders is in there.
Okay, so you're saving the fire bombs, but you're going for just trying to take the shot here.
Yeah, I'm going to go get Anders.
Oh, you're going into the library.
Of course. I mean, that seems like the best decision available, doesn't it? Viola's running, so I mean, I guess that means I'm up.
Okay, so you've seen this strange shadow, but you're gonna hope Viola outruns it, and you're going in for your other
Ushi after the shadow.
Got it. Cool. Oh, actually,
I mean, who better to deal with some sort of ethereal spectral shadow than a weird paranormal ghost dog?
Sure. Why don't we roll man's best friend one more time then for Ushi going after the shadow?
All right. What am I rolling that with? What's that?
That is a dreamer stat. That's a dreamer roll.
Oh, good. That's actually my good stat. Yeah, +2. Let's see what we get. It gets me to an 8.
You get to pick one of those options. The creature acts as you want, but you mark a stress for your efforts. The creature acts as you want, but it attracts unwanted attention. The creature doesn't act as you want, but it does something else helpful.
So here's something weird. It says 6 on the dice, but last roll total 1. So it actually re-rolled one of the dice.
Oh, I'll just let's stick with the first result we saw if this is going to get confusing with roll for your party, right? So, if 7 through 9, pick one of those options.
Alrighty. I'll mark stress.
Yeah, the situation's a little stressful, isn't it?
A little bit.
Cool. So Viola, I think that's where we'll leave you. You're running, and then there's like you hear a noise from behind you, and you see that Ushi has like leapt down and is just kind of like gnashing its teeth and seems to be like tearing up the shadow from the surface that it was on, and just pulling it to pieces. Anders, you're still in the rare books room. The codex is on the slab, and the door is starting to form across from you. Are you grabbing the codex?
Yes, but I'm gonna just kind of leave a tag so you can do with it whatever you want next time. But I'm gonna pull a vial out of my cloth bundle. And just deploy it in some fashion. This is
from your useful selection of trophies.
Right. So, and I'm just more than like absolutely trusting to fate.
So here's my question: Do you want to make that roll, or is this just like more of like the like cliffhanger image that we have at the end?
I'll make the roll, but don't bother. Just note what it was and interpret it how you want later.
Okay, we can work with that. Yeah. So you're pulling out something that basically it from Anders' view is like something's better than nothing. I hope I pull something useful here.
Yep.
Go ahead and roll plus fable for this one.
So that would be an 8.
Okay. On a 7 through 9, you've got something that will do. The MC will tell you what's less than ideal about it. Cool. So you're hoping for something that somehow like saves your hide in this circumstance.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's less than ideal. Here's what I think. Here's the final tag. Then, like Jack, you brush past the guard and are like charging into the library, in search of Anders. And like as you kind of arrive in this dark place, there's this just terrible stench everywhere, right? Like it's kind of your nose is not alive, and it's still kind of like wrinkles in disgust as you charge headfirst into this, and you maybe even like wave your hands to try to get the fumes away, and you see Anders is nowhere to be found. But that may be where we call it a cliffhanger for this week. How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for playing. Sorry about different technical difficulties, but I was really glad to get to put together this session nonetheless, and I'm excited to be back for more Checkpoint Midnight next week. But for now, I'll go ahead and end this broadcast.